Ever feel like you're the only one playing by the rules while everyone else is winning? You know the feeling I'm talking about. It's that heavy, sinking sensation in your gut when you realize you've done everything right. You've been the dependable employee, the supportive partner, the listening ear, and yet you're the one left empty-handed. Why is it that you can give endlessly, pouring your energy into making sure everyone else is happy, only to be met with indifference? You stay late at the office, churning out reports while your colleagues clock out at 5 to hit happy hour, assuming your dedication will be noticed. But the promotion goes to the guy who spends half his day networking and the other half delegating his work to you.
Or maybe it's in your personal life. You're the one picking up the check for the expensive dinner, listening to hours of drama, suppressing your own needs to avoid rocking the boat. You think, if I just treat her well enough, if I'm just nice enough, she'll see my value. But the call for a second date never comes. Or worse, you hear the dreaded words, "You're such a great guy, but I just don't see you that way."
It doesn't make sense, does it? The math doesn't add up. You were told that if you were good, if you were caring and selfless, the world would take care of you. But instead of gratitude, you feel used. And deep down, beneath that polished, agreeable exterior, there is a simmering resentment, a quiet rage that wonders why being nice feels so much like being a doormat. You aren't crazy for feeling this way, and you certainly aren't alone. This specific brand of frustration is actually a well-documented phenomenon, a silent contract you've signed with the world that the world never agreed to. We're going to peel back the layers of this dynamic and explore why your roadmap to happiness might be leading you off a cliff. Stay with me, because we are about to turn that map upside down.
That feeling, that exhaustion, it's the signal that something is fundamentally broken in your operating system. Welcome to The Last Read, Books for Your Ears, Wisdom for Your Life. Today, we are dissecting a text that challenges everything you've been taught about how to be a good man. Here is the hard truth, the controversial pill you need to swallow. Being nice, at least the way you've been defining it, is actually ruining your life. It's not the virtue you think it is, it's a strategy. A survival mechanism that is suffocating your true self and sabotaging the very relationships you are trying so hard to protect. You might think you're just unlucky in love, or maybe just underappreciated at the office, but what we are dealing with here is a specific, pervasive psychological syndrome.
It is a behavioral pattern rooted in anxiety and shame, a false belief that if you can just hide your flaws, if you can just prioritize everyone else's needs above your own, you will finally be safe, loved, and problem-free. But as you likely know by now, that check never clears. But there is a way out. This isn't about swinging the pendulum to the other extreme and becoming a jerk. It's not about acting like a bad boy to get attention. It is about integration. It's about reclaiming your personal power, asserting your needs without apology, and discovering a masculinity that is authentic rather than performed. It's about learning to stop seeking approval and starting to live with purpose.
If you are tired of being the doormat, if you are ready to stop waiting for permission to live your own life, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. We are going to provide the roadmap to break these habits, and you won't want to miss a single step. And of course, if you want to get the source material in your hands immediately, you can find the link to the book right there in the description. Now, to understand how deep this rabbit hole goes, and to understand why this isn't just a personality quirk, but a systemic issue, we have to look at the man who first identified this pattern. A man who didn't just study this from an ivory tower, but a professional therapist who looked in the mirror one day and realized that despite knowing all the theories, his own life was falling apart.
Dr. Robert Glover, a man who, on paper, had all the answers. He wasn't just some guy ranting on an internet forum. He was a licensed marriage and family therapist. He held a PhD in the subject. His entire career was built on helping people fix their relationships. And yet, in his own home, during his second marriage, things were falling apart. He describes himself during this time as the quintessential nice guy. He was doing everything he thought he was supposed to do. He was trying to be the opposite of his father, the opposite of the jerks that women complained about. He was attentive, he avoided conflict, he tried to fix everyone's problems. But his wife wasn't happy, and because she wasn't happy, he was resentful. There is a powerful moment he describes, a realization that really shattered his worldview. His wife looked at him and said something that cut right through his nice persona. She told him that despite what everyone thought, he wasn't actually nice. She called him passive-aggressive, manipulative, and impossible to please.
He was shocked. He thought he was the victim. He thought he was doing everything right and getting nothing in return. But then, he went into his office. He started actually listening to his male patients with fresh ears. He noticed something incredible. He saw the same pattern he was living over and over again. He saw single men who couldn't understand why they were perpetually stuck in the friend zone while the women they desired dated bad boys. He saw husbands who were convinced their wives were crazy because I do everything for her and she's still mad. They all had the same script. They all believed that if they were just good enough, if they hid their flaws and became what they thought others wanted them to be, they would be loved and have a problem-free life.
Dr. Glover realized this wasn't an individual failure, it was a shared delusion. He coined the term nice guy syndrome, not to describe a medical diagnosis, but to describe a social and emotional pattern that was silently suffocating an entire generation of men. And this is why Dr. Glover is such a compelling guide for this journey. He isn't preaching from a pedestal of perfection. He calls himself a recovering nice guy. He wrote the book as his own recovery manual, figuring out how to stop seeking approval and start seeking integrity. So, we know the man and we know the origin story, but what does this syndrome actually look like in the wild? How do you know if you are operating from this broken map? To answer that, we have to strip away the word nice and look at the darker psychology underneath, the covert contracts, the hidden manipulation, and the fear that drives it all.
The fear that drives it all. See, when we hear the term nice guy, we usually think of a man who is kind, generous, maybe a bit soft-spoken. We think of the guy who holds the door open or picks up the check. And sure, he might do those things. But Dr. Glover argues that for the nice guy, these actions aren't born out of genuine, overflowing kindness. They are born out of a desperate need for approval. It's not benevolence, it's a transaction. The nice guy is operating from a very specific internalized script. Glover calls it a broken map, and the legend on this map reads something like this. If I can hide my flaws and become what I think others want me to be, then I will be loved, get my needs met, and have a problem-free life. Read that again in your mind. If I am good, I will be safe.
It sounds logical, right? It's the logic of a child trying to avoid punishment. But the problem is, this map doesn't match the territory of the real world. Real life is chaotic. Real relationships are messy. You can do everything right. You can follow every rule. And your partner might still get angry. Your boss might still fire you. The world might still throw a wrench in your gears. But the nice guy doesn't accept this chaos. He thinks if things are going wrong, it's because he wasn't nice enough, so he tries harder. This is where the chameleon analogy comes in. To follow this map, the nice guy becomes a shapeshifter. He constantly scans the room, reading the emotional temperature of his partner, his boss, his friends, and he changes his colors to blend in. He becomes whatever he thinks the other person needs him to be in that moment to avoid conflict. If you need him to be strong, he plays the protector. If you need him to be sensitive, he plays the therapist. He suppresses his own needs, his own anger, his own personality, just to keep the waters calm. And eventually, the chameleon forgets its original color. The nice guy loses touch with who he actually is because he spent so long being a reflection of everyone else.
And here is the hard pill to swallow, the part that Dr. Glover emphasizes that often hurts the most to hear. This behavior, it makes the nice guy fundamentally dishonest. I know, that sounds harsh. Nice guys pride themselves on being good men. But if you are constantly hiding your true feelings to avoid rocking the boat, if you are repressing your desires because you are afraid they might upset someone, you are lying. You are presenting a curated, false version of yourself to the world. You are manipulating the perception of others to ensure your own safety. And this manipulation isn't just about hiding. It's about how the nice guy tries to get what he wants. Since he can't just ask for what he needs directly, because that might lead to rejection, he resorts to a silent, secret system of exchange. He creates a hidden agreement, a contract that no one else signed, and then gets furious when the other person doesn't hold up their end of the bargain.
Dr. Glover calls these covert contracts, and they are the silent killers of relationships, primarily because they are fundamentally unfair. The nice guy operates on a hidden formula that makes perfect sense in his head, but creates absolute chaos in reality. The formula goes like this: I will do this thing for you, so you must do that thing for me. It sounds like a business transaction, and in a way it is. But in a real business transaction, both parties sign the dotted line. In a covert contract, the other person doesn't even know they are playing the game. Let's look at a classic example that Dr. Glover discusses, one that hits very close to home for a lot of men. Picture a husband who comes home from work. He is tired, but he sees the kitchen is a mess. So, without saying a word, he rolls up his sleeves. He scrubs the counters. He loads the dishwasher. He takes out the trash. He might even fold the laundry while he's at it. On the surface, this looks like a loving act of service, a good man helping out the household.
But deep down, in the back of his mind, he is tallying up points. He is thinking, I am doing all of this cleaning. I am being such a helpful husband, so tonight she will definitely want to be intimate with me. He believes he is purchasing affection with chores. So, bedtime rolls around. The kitchen is sparkling. He climbs into bed, expecting his payment. But his wife, who has no idea this transaction just took place, simply says, "Thanks for doing the dishes, honey," rolls over and goes to sleep. The nice guy doesn't just feel disappointed, he feels betrayed. He feels ripped off. He lies there in the dark, stewing in resentment. He thinks, after everything I did for her, how could she be so selfish? See, that is the toxicity of giving to get. The nice guy isn't cleaning the kitchen because he wants a clean kitchen, or even because he purely wants to help his wife. He is doing it to control the outcome. He is using acts of service as a currency to buy validation, love, or sex. And when the other person doesn't pay up because they didn't know they owed anything, the nice guy slides into victim mode. He sulks. He becomes passive-aggressive. He might make snide comments the next day or withdraw emotionally. Dr. Glover argues that this behavior destroys trust faster than almost anything else. It turns generosity into manipulation. It makes the partner feel like they are constantly walking through invisible tripwires. They can sense that the kindness isn't free, that there are strings attached, but they can never quite see where the strings are leading. It creates a dynamic where the nice guy is constantly over-functioning and over-giving, only to end up furious that his needs aren't being met in return. But if we peel back the layers, if we ask why a man would rely on such a broken, indirect system to get his needs met, we hit something much deeper. We have to ask,
Why does he feel he has to buy love in the first place? Why does he feel that just being himself isn't enough to warrant affection? It points to a core wound, a belief that originated long before he ever met his partner, something Dr. Glover identifies as the root of all these behaviors.
It brings us to a concept Dr. Glover calls toxic shame. Now, shame is a heavy word, but we need to distinguish it from guilt. Guilt is the feeling that you did something wrong. It's about an action. Toxic shame is different. It's the deeply held belief that you are wrong. It's an internal narrative that says, I am not okay as I am. I am inherently defective. And for the nice guy, this isn't just a bad mood. It's the operating system he's been running since he was a boy. Glover explains that this usually starts in childhood. Maybe he was abandoned, neglected, or just scolded for being too loud, too messy, or too needy. Because children are egocentric, they think the world revolves around them. They don't think, my parents are having a bad day. They think, I must be bad. There is something wrong with me that causes people to get angry or leave.
So, the child makes a subconscious decision. I will hide my flaws. I will hide my mistakes. I will become exactly what they want me to be, so they won't leave me. Think of it like this. Imagine a man who believes he has a hideous scar on his face. He's convinced that if anyone sees it, they'll run away screaming. So he casts a heavy iron mask, a mask that looks perfect, smiling and agreeable. He puts it on every single morning. He wears it to work, he wears it to dinner, he wears it to bed. It's exhausting. It weighs a ton. He's sweating behind it. He can barely breathe. But he refuses to take it off because he's terrified of what's underneath.
This is the nice guy's tragedy. He craves intimacy. He wants to be known and loved, but he never lets anyone see his face. He only lets them love the mask. And because he never lets anyone see his scars, his needs, his anger, his rough edges, he never truly feels loved. Even when his partner says, I love you, he thinks, yeah, but you only love the act I'm putting on. If you knew the real me, you'd be gone. So how does a man drop the mask? How does he stop hiding and start living as an integrated male? Well, it starts with doing the one thing the nice guy is terrified to do. It starts with drawing a line in the sand and risking the possibility that someone might not like it. It starts with learning a simple 2-letter word that changes everything.
No. That's it. Just no. For the nice guy, that word is like kryptonite. He's allergic to it. He believes that if he says no to a request, he's being mean, selfish, or uncaring. He's terrified that the moment he draws a line, the other person will get angry, withdraw their approval, and abandon him. So he becomes a pushover. He says yes to the extra project at work, even though he's drowning. He says yes to helping a friend move on his only day off. He says yes to everything, and then secretly resents everyone for asking. But here is the reality check Dr. Glover lays out in No More Mr. Nice Guy. Boundaries do not create conflict. Boundaries create respect. Think about it. If you can walk through a wall, you don't respect the wall. You don't even notice it. But if you hit a solid brick wall, you have to acknowledge it. You have to navigate around it. You respect its presence. Glover argues that a man without boundaries is slippery. You can't get a grip on him because he constantly changes his shape to please whoever is in the room. And you can't trust a man you can't grip.
Let's look at what this looks like in practice, specifically in the workplace, where nice guys often get trampled. Imagine a boss comes to an employee on a Friday afternoon and says, "Hey, I need you to finish this report by Monday morning." Now, this isn't the employee's job, and he already has plans. The nice guy panics. He thinks, if I say no, he'll think I'm lazy. He might fire me. I have to be the good employee. So he sighs, cancels his plans, and does the work, seething with rage the entire weekend. Now, look at the integrated male, the man who has recovered. He looks at the boss and calmly says, "I can't do that this weekend. I have plans, but I'd be happy to sit down with you on Monday morning and help you figure out how to get it done." Notice the difference? He didn't apologize. He didn't make up a lie about a sick relative. He didn't get angry. He simply stated a fact: "I cannot do this." That isn't being mean. That is having a self. When you start doing this, something shifts. You stop operating from a place of "how do I get you to like me?" and start operating from a place of "what works for me?" This brings us to one of the most controversial concepts in the book: learning to please yourself.
Glover tells men to put themselves first. Now, in our culture, we are trained to believe that is the definition of selfishness. But the book uses the classic airplane analogy. You have to put on your own oxygen mask before you can assist others. If you are depleted, resentful, and exhausted from trying to please everyone else, you are no good to anyone. You're running on empty fumes. By making your own needs a priority, you actually become a better partner, a better father, and a better employee, because you are operating from a place of fullness, not desperation. But here is the catch. When a nice guy starts drawing these lines, when he finally stands up and says no, he is going to face pushback. The people in his life who benefit from his lack of boundaries are not going to like it. They might get angry. They might guilt trip him. And facing that storm alone is almost impossible. If you try to hold these boundaries by yourself, you will likely crumble the moment the pressure gets too high. You need backup. You need a specific kind of support that most nice guys have completely cut out of their lives.
But here is the hard truth that most nice guys struggle to swallow. That backup you need, it cannot come from your wife. It cannot come from your girlfriend. And it certainly cannot come from your mother. If you are a recovering nice guy, your instinct is almost always to turn to the women in your life for validation. This is likely how you were programmed. Dr. Glover points out that many nice guys grew up disconnected from their fathers, either because dad was absent, abusive, or just a passive nice guy himself. So you bonded with your mother. You learned to be different from those other rough, insensitive men. You learn to be one of the girls. This becomes a primary defense mechanism. You become the safe guy, the listener, the guy who understands women better than other men do. You convince yourself that if you just act more like a woman, if you prioritize feelings, avoid conflict, and seek consensus, you will finally get the love you crave.
But this leaves you alienated from your own gender. Glover argues that you cannot learn how to be a healthy, masculine man from a woman. It is biologically and sociologically impossible. A woman can teach you how to be a good person, sure, but she cannot teach you what it means to be a man. To recover, you have to stop seeking approval primarily from women and start building meaningful relationships with other men. And I'm not just talking about having buddies to watch the game with. I'm talking about the kind of deep, challenging relationships described by the proverb, "Iron sharpens iron." Iron does not sharpen iron by being soft. It happens through friction. It happens through heat.
You need men in your life who are safe enough to be vulnerable with, but strong enough to call you out on your nonsense. A men's group, a mentor, a close circle of guys who are also working on themselves. This is non-negotiable. When you are surrounded by other men, you realize your problems aren't unique. You stop hiding. Men can look at you and say, "Hey, stop playing the victim," in a way that your partners simply can't without causing a fight. They provide a container of masculine energy that allows you to rebuild your own identity, separate from your need to please women. And once you start feeling comfortable in your own skin around other men, something interesting happens to your romantic life. You stop hiding your intent. You stop using friendship as a Trojan horse to get affection. Which leads us to the most volatile, shame-filled aspect of the nice guy syndrome: simple, honest sexuality.
For a nice guy, sex isn't just an act, it's a performance. It's a test where the grading curve is impossible and the stakes feel life-threatening. See, Dr. Glover is very clear about this. Nice guys are filled with toxic shame, and nowhere does that shame burn hotter than in the bedroom. Because he believes he's inherently defective, the nice guy tries to hide his true self, and that includes his sexual nature. He represses it, he pushes it down. He tries to be the good boy who doesn't have those nasty urges like other men. But that energy has to go somewhere. Physics tells us energy cannot be destroyed, only transferred. So, where does it go? Often, it retreats into the shadows. Glover points out that many nice guys turn to pornography not just for release, but as a medication. It's a safe container. In the world of pixels and screens, there is no rejection, there is no judgment. You don't have to ask for what you want, and you certainly don't have to risk hearing a woman say no. It's the ultimate nice way to handle a volatile need without causing a scene. But this repression creates a massive problem in the real world, and it usually manifests as the dreaded friend zone.
We need to be really honest about this, because it's a hard pill to swallow. Glover argues that nice guys often end up in the friend zone not because they are too nice, but because they are dishonest. They use friendship as a hidden contract. They hide their sexual intent, hoping that if they listen to enough of her problems, fix enough of her appliances, and are just supportive enough, eventually she will reward them with sex. Glover calls this the Trojan horse. You roll in looking like a harmless, asexual friend, waiting for the gates to open so you can jump out and reveal your true desires. The problem? Women aren't stupid. They feel the incongruence. They sense the hidden agenda, and it feels manipulative, because it is. It kills attraction instantly. A woman can't trust a man who is terrified of his own desire. So what is the alternative? This is where we start seeing the silhouette of what Glover calls the integrated male. An integrated male doesn't hide his sexuality. He accepts it as a natural, healthy, and powerful part of who he is. He understands that, as Glover writes, sex is powerful, chaotic, and wild. It's not something to be tamed or apologized for.
The integrated male is direct. He doesn't wait for permission to be attracted to someone. If he desires a woman, he lets it be known, respectfully, but clearly. He doesn't slide into her DMs pretending to care about her cat when he's actually interested in her. He takes the risk. He accepts that she might say no, and he knows that her no is not a reflection of his worth as a human being. It's about moving from, I hope she gives it to me if I'm good enough, to, I am a sexual being, and I am responsible for my own needs. When you stop hiding your intent, the anxiety drops, the shame evaporates. You stop being the creepy friend with the secret crush and start being a man who is comfortable in his own skin. And that comfort, that self-acceptance, isn't just about sex. It's the cornerstone of a completely different way of existing in the world. It's the foundation of the final stage of recovery. We've talked about boundaries, male bonding, and now, honest sexuality. But how do you put all these pieces together into a single cohesive identity? How do you stop being a nice guy without swinging the pendulum and becoming a jerk? That is the final piece of the puzzle. The answer to that question is the integrated male. That is the destination Dr. Glover is pointing us toward. See, most nice guys operate in binary thinking. They think if they stop being nice, the only other option is to become that jerk they've spent their whole lives trying not to be. They think the opposite of pleasing everyone is pleasing no one. But the integrated male is not a jerk. He isn't cruel. He isn't selfish in a toxic way. He is simply whole. Being integrated means you stop slicing off the parts of yourself that you think are unacceptable. It means embracing your power, your aggression, your passion, and yes, even your darkness. It means realizing that your imperfections are not mistakes to be hidden, but essential parts of who you are. Glover calls this perfect imperfection.
The integrated male has strong boundaries, but he isn't a wall. He is open and vulnerable,
But he doesn't use his vulnerability to manipulate others into taking care of him. He is comfortable with his sexuality, but he doesn't use it to seek validation. He takes responsibility for his own needs, and because he feeds himself, he actually has something genuine to offer the people around him. He is reliable, not because he's afraid of conflict, but because he has integrity. And this brings us to the end of our deep dive. We've looked at the nice guy syndrome, the covert contracts that destroy relationships, the importance of male bonding, the necessity of boundaries, and the reclamation of healthy sexuality. But if you take one thing away from this series, let it be this: recovery is not a destination. You don't just finish the book and say, "Okay, I'm fixed now." This is a practice.
There will be days when you slip back into old habits. There will be moments when you catch yourself trying to manage someone else's reaction or hiding your truth to keep the peace. That is okay. The goal isn't to be a perfect machine. The goal is to be a conscious man. It is a long road, but it is the only road that leads to a life that is actually yours. If this series has resonated with you, if you've seen yourself in these descriptions, don't let the momentum stop here. This podcast was just the map. You still have to walk the path. Please, go down to the description and click the link to buy No More Mr. Nice Guy. Read it, do the exercises, join a men's group, do the work. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you are subscribed to The Last Read so you don't miss our next deep dive. Stop waiting for permission to exist. Stop waiting for someone else to make you happy. You are the only person who can make that happen, and you are more than capable of doing it. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourself and be real.